Welcome to the Managing Uncertainty podcast. This is Brian Strasser, Principal and Chief Executive here at Brightpath. And in episode 198, I want to talk about McKinsey's new report, getting a read on the state of organizations. McKinsey recently, as they have done for the last several years, conducted a survey of about 2,500 companies of various sizes throughout the world. And they asked them a number of questions related to their ability to attract and retain talent, work efficiently, achieve growth, and their other defined performance goals. And they were particularly looking at this to understand shifts that have happened from pre-COVID to post-COVID. And I thought that the report actually highlighted a number of really interesting challenges that we see from a business continuity and crisis management standpoint, a resilience standpoint that I want to highlight here. The first shift that McKinsey talks about in the report is about the importance of a balance between speed and resilience. In the report, they describe the need for organizations to get faster, to increase their speed of decision making, but also to they want to increase their speed and strengthen their resilience in order to respond to future shocks and disruptions. They pointed out in the survey that they conducted that only 14% of leaders that they surveyed said that their organizations had truly adopted an agile operating model, that they felt that the company was agile and flexible enough to deal with future shocks and disruptions. It's a really interesting point. This morning, we were interviewing the chief financial officer from one of our clients as a part of an evaluation we're doing of their business continuity program. And one of the things that he pointed out was that COVID gave them the freedom to make some decisions that probably would have taken longer, and it caused them to become a more agile organization, and that he feels like they came out of COVID in a much stronger financial and strategic position than they did prior to COVID. And it's really interesting for a business that was so dependent upon business travel and the economy in that way. The second shift that McKinsey calls out is the hybrid workplace, that there has been a strong shift towards a hybrid workplace model, a situation that combines the benefits of in-person and remote work. The interesting number about the interesting stat that came out of the survey is that 80% of the people who have had exposure to remote work before do not want to give that up anymore in this post-COVID world. That they saw this increasing trend towards a hybrid workplace. And while that shift has been largely driven by the COVID pandemic, because it forced companies to have to adapt to remote work. But now in 2023, faced with the possibility of return to the office, many employees are saying strongly that they prefer a mix of on-site and remote work, that this hybrid model can offer flexibility. They see benefits for work-life balance and increased productivity in some cases, but that it requires good technology infrastructure, systems that allow seamless on-site and off-site work, and a shift away from measuring just the input of work, like the number of hours that you're working, towards more of a balance of measuring inputs and outputs. And we've talked about that in a previous episode. The next shift that McKinsey describes is around building capabilities into this very rapidly changing workplace. That as new technologies continue to emerge and evolve, like AI, that the skills required in the workplace are changing. The report emphasized the need for companies to bridge capability gaps to drive stronger growth and value, and that could be achieved by training internal staff, fostering a culture of learning and experimentation, looking for talent outside of the organization that brings a different skill set and a different point of view, and then creating a value proposition that appeals to that talent, the talent that you need in the future. The report, though, also emphasized strongly the importance of role modeling by the C-suite to put talent at the center of the organization and put continuous learning at the center of that organization. The next shift that McKinsey covered is about the role of leadership. They saw in the survey results that leadership plays a crucial role in navigating the shifts that were discussed throughout the report. That leaders are responsible for inspiring and motivating their team, and that their approach can significantly impact employees' engagement and performance. But the report stated that only 25% of respondents believe that their company's leadership culture inspires employees to be their best, that leaders need to be aware of their own limitations to lead their teams effectively, and they must practice and demonstrate as a model the necessary skills and mindsets to lead these kind of efforts at scale. McKinsey also highlights the importance of helping leaders lead themselves and their teams, and that this is a critical factor in determining the engagement of employee success and happiness. McKinsey also highlighted a number of case studies, what they described as beacon organizations, companies that had successfully navigated these big shifts in the post-COVID world. One organization they highlighted is GitLab, which is a company that we've paid a lot of attention to. GitLab, if you're not familiar with them, is a web-based platform for collaboration in software development. GitLab is fully remote. Their systems, their culture, their processes have all been built to allow them to integrate talent from all over the world into their ecosystem. They do get together for cultural events and certain team building, but their work is primarily done on a remote-only basis. And the model for them, they say, has changed the talent equation. It allows them to look for talent in every part of the world. Their success story demonstrates the potential benefits of this hybrid or remote-first work model when it's been effectively implemented. McKinsey outlined some next steps for organizations. They talked about they devised their own 4-part integrated approach outlined in the report for how to address these organizational shifts. And these 4 parts involve setting the direction and calibrating the ambition of the organization to take on these shifts, cultivating talent that are able to make those changes, investing in leadership in the organization that can drive those changes forward, and lastly, thinking about change leadership at scale. Now, what does all of this mean for business continuity and crisis management professionals? Well, the shifts and strategies that McKinsey talks about in this report have pretty significant implications for professionals in resilience. First, when we talk about speed and resilience, this ties directly to crisis management. The faster an organization can respond in a crisis and respond effectively, then the more likely we are to minimize damage and recover our organization more quickly. That requires a proactive approach to identifying potential risks and developing contingency plans. Second, the hybrid workplace. The shift towards hybrid or even a fully remote approach has a lot of implications for business continuity planning. In a hybrid model, we need to make sure our organization understand that how their in-person and remote operations can continue smoothly in the event of a disruption. This might involve investing in technology infrastructure that better supports remote work, developing better policies and procedures around remote work, and training staff to work more effectively in a hybrid approach. Third, when it comes to building capabilities, business continuity and crisis management professionals like you and I need to ensure they're keeping up with new technologies and the new skill sets necessary to thrive in this new era. That might involve training in areas like cybersecurity, which is continuing to become more important as we do more and more work online, or data analysis, or even artificial intelligence, all of which can be used to identify trends and predict potential crisis situations. And lastly, leadership. Effective leadership by folks in our profession is necessary in a crisis, but also when times are uncertain like they are right now. Leaders need to be able to make quick decisions, communicate effectively with their teams, and inspire confidence. The report's findings on the importance of leadership and the need for leaders to lead themselves, lead their teams, and then be able to lead at scale are all highly relevant to the work that we do in resilience. I see this report telling us that we need to continue to be adaptable, proactive, and forward-thinking in order to navigate a constantly changing business landscape. You should read the full report for additional insights. That's it for this edition of the Managing Uncertainty podcast. We'll be back next week with another new episode. Be well.